Welcome to Thrive Endurance Everyday Athlete, where we delve into the minds of regular people, how they juggle the balance of everyday life while trying to reach their endurance dreams. I'm your host, Jason Shields, and this episode is brought to you by Thrive Endurance. Hello, welcome to episode 1 of Everyday Athlete from Thrive Endurance. So, we're pretty excited. This is our first attempt at a podcast. It's a pretty good time. It's a pretty special time for Thrive Endurance. 2 years ago was the first time we were part of Ultraman Australia, and it was probably the last real Ironman triathlon race that I've actually done, serious one in the last 2 years. So I'm pretty lucky. I've got 3 special guests here with me that if anyone from Thrive Endurance would probably know them. They've been around ever since the start and before the start. So we've got Sharon Andronako up there in the little palm tree. Looks like she's sitting on Noosa. We've got Marcus, who's brown. He's in Mars. And we've got Chris Pye, who's in his workshop. He's in the real life. Pretty excited to have everyone on. For me, it's like I'm watching all the feeds come up in my Facebook, all of my memories from 2 years ago. So for me, it's probably a little bit of an exciting weekend. The 3 guys here that we're all meant to be racing this weekend, it's probably a mixed bag of emotions. The highs and the lows. So Ultraman, it's a different race to everything else. Only a little quiet, a quiet race, and and that's why the 3 people here all were pretty keen to get involved. So basically, we were just going to start it off. We're going to just have a little talk about how the guys felt coming into this weekend. Not actually getting to race and being stuck at home, isolated, and and how they dealt with that. So basically, Marcus. I was probably 2 weeks ago when I seen Dave Carroll started talking about he was going to do an ISO Ultra alone. I thought, oh no, here comes Marcus's message saying I'm going to do it. Coming into this weekend, how did you, what did you feel? How did you feel?
Yeah, so obviously I had some intentions to kind of get out there and just meet a few people, maybe over the virtual triathlon that was going on. I had no intention of doing the whole thing. Had a few errors there on day 1, trying to get it to all sync up and work, but still endured a few hours on the bike, which was good. Yeah. Some of the guys out there were pretty impressive with the speeds they were kicking out, and I was a bit intimidated, to be honest, but overall that was good. And then so I thought day 2 I'll come back and have another crack at the day 1 course there at Noosa, and I was able to achieve it. So it was good to do it on road, on virtual, a little bit different than what we'd done, Sharon, Chris and myself, back in March as preparation. But it was good. Good to chat, good to see things on Facebook. I wasn't out to kill anyone or do anything, but just to get a bit of an idea of what was going on and, do what you can.
So when they first, I think they sort of didn't really start talking about it till Tuesday. The Dave put it out that he was going to do it, but there was nothing else about that. And even when they did it on Tuesday, I guess it was a little bit, whatever. I wish we had known earlier. We didn't really plan on doing anything at our house until we got to probably about mid-Sunday morning. And then I think, Sharon, you might have got a bit of FOMO and gone, we were just going to do a couple of hours on the trainer, and then all of a sudden Sharon's going, oh, you think I can? And, what do you think, Sharon? Then what happened?
Well, I pretty much had no intention at all of doing the virtual ride. I think I've been chatting with Chris on the, Messenger, talking about how, I guess we kind of felt like, they've organised this so late, wish we had more time. I think Chris was cook anyway, so there was no chance of doing it.
Yeah.
I had a 3-hour ride, and I think we were kind of hoping that the weather was going to be good and we'd go outside. The longest I'd done on a trainer was 2 hours. And I just thought, well, there's no way I could do, a long ride, 145 Ks on the trainer. So I just thought, no, there's no way I can do this. But then I don't know, something just clicked. I got the FOMOs bad. Saw Marcus kitted up, looking like Lionel Sanders on his bike. And I thought, I have to do this. So I was just switched on, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it, and I did it. So
yeah, I actually think at first I went, oh, this is why are they worried, why are they doing this? But I do actually think that it brought a few people all together, and it brought a few people that had done the race in the past together. I seen Carl put his ride up, and then I was like, oh, I think I'm going to do my ride, and I was just like Marcus. I was out within 20 Ks with technical difficulties. So I ended up doing mine the next day. But how you, Chris, you living in this yourself, you're the only one that's really probably been riding outside.
Yeah. It's not been...
yours went to absolute, I don't know if absolute shit.
No, it wasn't. It was the opposite. It went that way, yeah. No, well, like Sharon said, I wasn't aware that there was anything happening. So it was actually, I've been doing a lot of riding. So that was my down week. I was going to have an easier week. And I was initially a little bit disappointed. Yeah, taper for it. Well, initially I thought I don't really want to go. First thing I thought was I'll just go ride both days. Like, that'll be fun. That'll be a good thing to do. And then I sort of thought, it's probably not what I want to do on a week that I'm down a little bit. And then, Friday, got really sick. By Saturday, I was just praying for the sweet release of death, to be honest, just curled up in bed, waiting for it to all stop. And that's where we're at now, a little bit better, but still paddling away.
Do you think it had anything to do with race week feelings?
Pre-race nerves, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
But I mean, really, it could be, you're down or whatever because of the actual race or something like that.
Yeah, well, I definitely wouldn't say that that's completely out of the question. I know I've been up and down a fair bit, but I'll be entirely honest and tell you that I haven't thought about the race at all until I saw those emails come through and the few Facebook posts about doing the virtual thing. I honestly feel like I've mostly moved on from the disappointment and the shock.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a pretty good lead into the next point that we're going to talk about, and it's, how did you cope with the initial outcome of when they cancelled the race? What was your initial reaction, and what were your first thoughts? I know that we probably all maybe thought it was coming. I know I went out for a ride that morning. I planned on doing cans. I blew my lid at poor Fiona. I blew out a few swear words, which I probably don't do. I cracked the shits. I rode home, whether that was pressure building or whatever, because of things were coming up, the thoughts of things coming up. But, then I got home and then I'm going, oh, you're weak, you should have kept going. And then I got home to a message of you saying, I don't know, I can't remember the explicits of the words. And I'm like, what's he talking about? And, I think then we all, well, me, you and Sharon all understood what was going on. But what was your initial thoughts, reactions, Yeah,
it's wrapped up in so many other things with the virus. It's such a bigger thing. So, I mean, initially I was just shattered, and cranky, like mostly pissed off that it, and in hindsight that, it's the only way that it could happen. But I guess, you're always trying to find a way to bend things to suit yourself, to try and get what you want out of it. But I mean, I think I've gone through all the stages of grief. I'm going to be honest with you. I was disappointed and sad, and then cranky, and then sad, and then I ate a bit more and I felt better, and that cycle. Then you just sort of pretty quickly realise that it's not the biggest thing in the world, and there was plenty of other things to worry about. So, I mean, in one sense, that if I'd just hurt myself or it had been called off for some other reason, you'd sort of, you'd have to deal with it yourself. But there was something else for us to grasp onto and to focus on trying to get over, which is just trying to keep businesses going and not get sick, do the right thing. So it wasn't. It's probably taken me a little bit longer emotionally to deal with. I still don't know that I have, to be honest. It has its moments, but you just got to. There was something else there that we had to deal with. So
yeah. So, and Marcus was the last person to find out. I kind of had been waiting to hear from a message from him, and I thought, oh, this is a bit odd. And I don't know whether it was. I don't even know if it was the same day or the next day, because I know you weren't receiving the emails, but you messaged me, and the message was like something about, I wish Dave Carroll would just shut up, or else I'll call the event off or something. And I'm like, going, he doesn't know the event's called off. So then the message went back of like, oh man, haven't you received the email? So and then I remember your message pretty clearly. It was something about a flu and F and C's and blah blah week somethings sort of thing. So from your initial reaction to how long did it take for you to maybe think that that was that what the decision they did was right, wrong, at that time, what's the how long did it take for you to sink in, Marcus? What happened?
Yeah, so I kind of had dreams and hopes that it was just going to float through the clouds and it'd be untouched from Corona. I guess I was a little bit angry, disheartened by it all. But at the same time, we've got to kind of take care of our health and safety first, I guess, and others around us. But it sunk in pretty quickly. I remember that day going out for a ride. I think I had a 2 or a 3 hour ride scheduled. The first time I've been out, and I probably lasted half an hour and literally turned around and come back. I kind of felt like everything had been taken from under me pretty much. I felt it was kind of the days where I think Shep got cancelled, Cairns got cancelled.
Tuesday.
Ultra got cancelled, yeah. So it was like, well, what have I got to train for? So it hit home, a week or two. But like Chris now, I've sort of just learned to live with it, and you just sort of move on and look at the positives that can come out of it, I guess. So I guess the best scenario is what's happened. It could have been a lot worse 1 or 2 weeks out and they cancel it then. Which would have been a hell of a lot worse,
and I think credit to the Ultraman people, because personally I thought it hasn't got a hope. We just lost. He's back.
No, he's back.
Yeah, sorry.
Personally I thought it hasn't got a hope. But the only hope that it's got is that it because at that point they'll stay in gatherings of 100 people or whatever. It's going to be under 40 people. It's not a big event. So they probably could have dragged it out for probably another 2 weeks, I think, before the official announcements come out to 2 people, and and then we just all knew that it was all off. But they sort of come out early because it was like that day. I went out and rode that morning, knowing that nothing was going to happen. But I'm going, I have to keep training until they officially call it. But mentally, I was already gone. I wasn't, and that's why I think I did blow my trumpet and let some steam off and come home. So, really, Sharon, when did you probably, I think that, probably when on the Tuesday when they announced it, you weren't really surprised. When do you think that, you kind of started to go, is this, am I training pointlessly now, or that this is not going to happen? What was your reactions to, when it looked like it was all starting to come down?
Well, at the time, we were doing our own little training camp up at Noosa, and really there was a little bit of talk about the coronavirus at the time. And I think Marcus had mentioned, Leanne had told him about, what's going on, because otherwise I think I was kind of unaware of everything that was going on. So it wasn't until I got back, and that's when, you took more notice of what was going on in the media. And so I realised it was pretty much a big deal. And I think I arrived back on the Saturday, and I think the event was cancelled on the Tuesday. But I think as each, Sunday, by Monday, I was thinking, oh, yeah, there might be a chance that the event's going to go ahead. But then I was starting to feel guilty. Like, how can I ask my crew to travel all the way from Victoria, all the way up to, Noosa, and which they would be driving and having to stay in accommodation along the way. And, how could I ask them to do all that if there's a risk that they could, catch this virus, even if the event did go ahead. And so I was kind of like starting to feel like it wasn't really the right thing to do in the first place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty good point that you just brought up then. This is how quick it all went down. It was, I think it got called off on a Tuesday, and the week, not the week before, but the week before that. So like 8 days before that Tuesday, you guys had just been in Noosa for a training camp for a week. I didn't go because I was at home sick. I just got home from New Zealand and had the flu. So, I ended up going and seeing the doctor because I'm like, oh, have I got the coronavirus? They didn't test me, but they said I didn't. But, you've just got to spend, probably a week together, which you probably have mostly all been training solo. So you went from the whole buzz of like, oh, we've just gone and done course recon, we've rode the course together, we've run the course, and then to the point of you were about to fly home and Carl's pulled out of the race, and then then I'm like, oh, holy crap, I'm going to do this now, and like it was this whole buzz of, and then I went and did run and worked out I'm not doing it. So that was never going to happen. But you went from the whole buzz of having your big training block 8 weeks out or whatever it was, to then it all just got turned up on its head. Sort of thing. So you went from one massive extreme to one low in 1 week. How do you, does that affect it? Does it make it worse? Does it make it better because you actually did get to go and do that? So it felt semi like that was your challenge or your race. What do you reckon?
No, it's worse.
Yeah.
It's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was already dealing with, after that camp, I think we had a week, and then it was the following week. So that week was a recovery week, an easier week, the back half of that one.
Yeah.
So I was already dealing with the emotional roller coaster that I go through on taper weeks and things, and so a little bit moody and that sort of stuff, which is all pretty normal. But then just sort of starting to dig out of that and get slapped around again. A lot of disbelief, I guess. And then, a lot of guilt. I gotta be honest with you, I feel quite guilty when I spoke to Sharon and she said similar thing to me as what she just did then, sort of the week that it was cancelled when I spoke to her, and she spoke of a crew and a concern for others. And I hadn't even considered it for a second. It was all about me. It rode a little wave of guilt on the end of that as well.
Yeah. And what about you, Marcus? You sort of had gone to, and we're not here saying you're going, oh, I thought I was going to win or whatever, but you've kind of gone, well, holy crap, all of a sudden you're starting to look up who else is racing, you've the buzz, the excitement, it's like going, oh, holy crap, shit, who else is going to be at this race then, and blah, 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 and then it's sort of all taken away. Less than 7, that was the bizarrest bit. It's all happened in 10 days from it. And there wouldn't have been a point when you guys were in Noosa that you would have been thinking this thing ain't going ahead.
Yeah, no, you're silly to say that you don't look at the crew that's racing, and you identify the pros straight away. And when one of the big shots and the previous winner takes his name off the list, you get a little bit of a buzz. Probably would have led to a bit more intense training the coming months leading into it. But in hindsight, I'm similar to the other guys. I mean, you feel guilty for your crew. I've got Dad on leave now, we would have been driving up there. So he's, it is what it is. But at the same time, I think the time we had up there, opposite to Sharon and Chris, I really enjoyed it. I hadn't done a lot of time on the course, so I probably got a lot out of that. So yeah, really good benefit for me.
Yeah, and I think even going forward, depending on what happens next year, that still actually like it'll give you more confidence or more things of what to look at and what to work on. So
absolutely, yeah, yep.
So next one topic that we'll talk about. So we'll start with you, Sharon. It's so you had your little blog going on. You had a little cult following, maybe. I don't know. You seem to be getting a lot of likes and a lot of things. So I mean, I think a lot of people were interested in your journey. So just what was your why did you do Ultraman, and what were you looking to get out of it, or why did you want to do it in the first place?
I guess prior to you entering the race, I knew nothing about Ultraman, or had no interest in any ultra events or anything like that. And then being there when you competed in 2018, I loved the atmosphere, and I just loved the camaraderie, all the athletes and the crew, the volunteers, everyone. And the fact that you could meet up with people who were racing at other races, and you were like a family, you're part of this group. And it's you compete in an Ironman event or a challenge event or whatever it might be, you never have that same kind of camaraderie with the other athletes or volunteers or whoever it might be. So I think the event as a whole is something pretty unique, and I think that's probably the way it is with any ultra events. So I guess that sparked my interest in wanting to do Ultraman, and just the fact that I was turning 50 and
Didn't hear. Is the volume down? Hang on, turn the volume up. Do that again. Repeat.
So, I was in a little bit of denial about it, and I was probably thinking too much about it. And then I just thought, well, I had joked about it after Jason had completed the event that I'll do this, but when I turned 50. But it was kind of more like a throwaway line, and something that I didn't really think would come to fruition. But as the date came closer to put your entries in, and we kind of just started talking a little bit more about it, and I just thought, I want to do this. I want to see what I can achieve. I want to see what I can put my body through, and I want to be able to complete this event that just sounds like it's impossible to do. And, if you've read my blog, and, I list all my other reasons, as to why I want to stay healthy and things like that. And that's to do with, my parents and their struggles with their health, and both dying at an early age. So, I'm pretty passionate about wanting to make the most out of my life and to be as healthy as I can, I guess, and to see what I can achieve. Yeah. So that's basically my story.
So we'll put a link to the blog, so if anyone wants any more details, they can have a look at Shaz's stuff. So how about you, Marcus? What was the drive? What was the
Yeah, so I think it's just the next stepping stone for me. So since I've been doing triathlon probably the last 5-6 years, I've sort of started at the sprint and built my way up through the distances, and it sort of leans towards the endurance stuff is what best suits and I enjoy the most. So having done a few Ironmans now, I think the Ultraman was the next step, and having watched you and Dave and a few others do it in previous years, it was something that really I guess excited me to do. Similar to Sharon, it was all about sort of seeing what your body can do and what you can achieve with your mind and your health and well-being to be able to push those big kilometres. There's a lot of people out there that always talk about it and dream about these things, but I guess if no one does them, then they don't really believe in them. So if you can do it and sort of educate other people that you can healthily do these things healthy, then it's educating others as well. So a bit of everything. And a few role models out there that have pushed me along, and yeah, got me into it. So.
So about you, Chris, you were like, so I think we've got like probably 3 different reasons why people went into this. I was probably pretty confident that most, well, I would probably say that I never was confident, but I kind of, and I wouldn't say I pushed any of you into it, but I was encouraging of, I thought it was a good idea for everyone to have a go. So what was your initial thoughts and your initial reasons? And
yeah, like basically when you said you'd pay and crew and do everything for me, and all I had to do was front up, that's what sold it for me. No, I mean, just when I saw how easy it was, pretty much. I mean, it was a good opportunity with the others doing it, you know, and there was a bit of interest about. It was a good timing for me as far as my work goes. So I was going to get there, and I was confident that I could give it a fair amount of dedicated time, probably enough to justify doing it rather than just squeezing in around things. And it's it's less than a kilometre from my house, so yeah, sort of. It was like, work says, yep, you can take time off. We'll let you do that, and you got a few others that are doing it. So, and it's so close. Yeah, basically, when you do it, and I got to be honest with you, it does frighten me a bit. The scope of the thing when we were talking about it, I wasn't convinced, but it held my attention every time I thought about it. Yeah, I thought maybe it's not a good idea, so let's give it a go. And I love those legit bikes, mate. Can't get enough of proper bike courses. Not enough of them around in this country. So I was pretty keen to get stuck into that.
Yeah. So like, I mean, and I must admit, when I don't think that I knew what I was getting myself into when I first entered it. I know that just like anyone else, it's, you look at the results, you go, oh, they only averaged 35 k's an hour or 34 k's an hour on the bike. They only ran at this pace, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Sort of going, it's an ultra distance event, so it's going to be an easy course. It's not going to be hard. And it wasn't until I got there that, I mean, I come and visited you up in Noosa in, I think it was the Christmas before the race, and I went and rode the course, and I come back and I'd averaged 28 or something, and I was just like, holy shit. And that's, I mean, that gave me a bit more respect for it. But I must admit, even turn up to the race, I mean, I definitely had a good respect for the distance, but I didn't have a respect for, I don't think, the actual camaraderie in the race. And, and everyone's going, oh, you're never going to want to do an Ironman again. Everyone's so friendly, everyone's so happy. And I'm like, oh, I don't care about anyone else. I'm just here to bloody win or whatever the thing is, when I never turn up to a race. And by the time I actually, like, even on day 2, like, and I'll remember this moment forever. It's like, I actually took a wrong turn. I was probably just within voice distance of Carl Reed. He's screaming at me to tell me that I've gone the wrong way. There's no way known in an Ultraman that, I mean, a normal Ironman or a normal race, the people would go, oh, sweet, I've got him. Yeah. Sort of thing. It was just, and then on the run, like, just all the other people's crews, it was just a whole, like Shaz said, it was just a whole experience, a whole event. And just, like, and I know that you sort of being on, especially the bike course, like, it was just, when there's only 40 people out there and it's 280 k's, there's a long, big gap between bikes.
And then that what you mentioned there with Carl, I think the thing that comes from that is that you don't need to be scared of giving up a little advantage to someone, or it's not going to matter. Like, if he got 2 k's on, by the time you realised it, they're so long, you'll get chased down again. Like, you don't need to be so wound up and afraid to grab hold of every tiny little advantage.
Yeah, like, I mean, I know that even on day 2, that by, like, me and Carl come in and we rode in together, and people might think that we rode the whole bike course together, but I can tell you, except for probably 1 hour, that we were hardly even in sight of each other. Sort of thing. It was just, and it was just a great experience, sort of thing. So, Probably Sharon. Do you think you went in the lead in, the approach, the training volume? Were you surprised at what you did? Were you surprised? Did you think you weren't doing enough? What was your sort of thoughts, and how much had you done in comparison to maybe you had done an Ironman or a different race like that? How was it different?
Well, I think at the time when the event was cancelled, I was pretty consistently doing 20 hours a week of training, and up to 24 hours. I had my biggest bike weeks of nearly 440 Ks on the bike. I think I'd ran nearly 62 Ks on the run and about 14 or 15 Ks swimming. So, been putting in, quite a bit of time and effort training. And I was, probably thinking, I was probably more worried about the run, how the hell am I going to run 84 kilometres? I was, I had concerns about the swim, but not so much as physically, would I be able to complete it? I was just more of a fear, a little bit of a fear of some ocean swimming there. My only concerns at the time was the run. And if I was going to remain injury-free during my training, to be able to get to race day, basically. And in comparison to training for Ironman events, I think in the couple of Ironman events that I've done, the most training that I would get up to would be about that 19 hours, but only for 1 or 2 weeks. So, I think I'd probably, done maybe 5-6 weeks at that point, of 20 hours or more. So, and probably would have been doing, a few more as well. So there was a lot of training hours.
And so how did you think that you coped with that? And how do you cope with that around, around a work life and a normal life? Not just, we're not pros. We don't have all day, every day to train, recover, sleep, unless you're Chris. The rest of us, like you're juggling it between a normal life that you have to get up the next day and you have to be aware and awake still to deal with your job.
Yeah, for me, I work from home, so I'm not wasting, half an hour driving to my workplace and half an hour, driving home and, things like that in between, or, having to have not mindless conversations, but, little bits of chit chat where I'm wasting time.
I'm sure there's some mindless conversations going on at home, Sharon.
But, just wasting time. So basically, I was able to achieve that 20-something hours of training a week and still, get in my 30 plus hours of work as well, and, keep the house running and cook meals and, cleaning and all that kind of stuff. But I was pretty regimented in everything that I was doing. Like I had to know in advance like I was always planning for the next day, what I needed to do, try and minimize running to the supermarket and things like that, have meal preparation if I could, I needed to make sure I was doing a load of washing every day and, like everything was just tick it all off the list, basically. Yeah. I was not I can't say I was relaxed about everything because everything just had to be done. So, yeah.
And so, Marcus, you're a firefighter, so you probably get a fair bit of rest time. But in all seriousness, you we all talk about the rest, I think, because we've all forgot about the fires that all happened, a month or 2 months, all sort of before that, sort of thing. So, as in for training volume, training load, balancing it out with work. Were you doing as much as you expected, less than you expected? What was your take on your?
So not seeing Sharon's training program, I was similar. I think I was getting close to 20 hours, and I'd done maybe 3 or 4 weeks of that, and I thought I was almost at the top of the pyramid, like in hours wise. But having spoke to you after coming back from Noosa,
hey Sarah.
it was pretty obvious that, we still had a fair way to go, which for me is it's good to know coming into next year that there is still quite a bit there to go in the last couple of months leading into the race, which I think I can handle. My body was in pretty good shape with that training weekend we did. As far as time management goes, it's a case of consistently learning of time management, squeezing things in when you can, multitasking, training when you're commuting to and from work, meal preps. Yeah, it's an endless battle. It's the 1%ers that you can continuously do to make your life as workable as possible, I guess. Yeah. So it's a learning. It's always learning. Yeah.
So I'd probably say that I reckon you two are both talking it up a little bit. I reckon you might have just got near there for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. But I mean, you weren't far off. It's like I reckon you probably were around that 18 to 20 for probably 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know if it was 20.
I did have a look.
But I would say that Chris, you probably had a slightly different approach. Like if I look at it, you were definitely doing a lot more than what the other guys were.
Legit 20. So probably 25. So I felt good. It was probably after that weekend that I felt like it was not really a game of not breaking down for me. I was starting to think now I didn't want to do any more hours than I had done. And I guess a little bit of lack of faith in my body leading up to that point. It was all more sort of focused on whether I could find the weakness or find the strength, I guess, to think that I could go ahead and really push hard in those last months, I suppose. So I'd sort of probably loaded mine up a little bit more volume earlier on to just see how that would go, and I was happy, and I'm even more shattered now because it was bike related, run related stuff, and that volume's not really gone away. We're lucky up here in Queensland of being able to go outside, and I've just been riding, and it's just been getting better and better and better. So I've peeled a little bit of volume back, and everything's come alive. So yeah, a little bit more shattered. But what they say about the time management is that's the game, is to do the work and still be able to do still go to sleep and still eat well. I was in a sort of a rhythm, if you'd call it that, where it was really I'd get home from a morning session and really eat as much and as quickly as I could to get to work on time. And I didn't really realise you sort of get your head down like a production line. You just go and go and go day on day. It's as long as you know what you're doing next, you're okay. And once it all stopped, that was one of the hardest things. I would come home and start eating like some kind of starved animal, and then realise, well, I don't have to be anywhere. I don't need to do that. So yeah, that's when I realised how much you really do change your life around to get those hours out.
Yeah, I mean, we're all creatures of habit, so once you get used to something. So, I would say that the whole three of you probably, you probably all had, a little bit different prep, but you definitely all had a different lead in, going in, where your approach, as in whether do you race, do you just train, do you, what do you sort of do? You probably because of a few niggles that you potentially got along the way, maybe with your foot, or I think it was your foot, and back off a little bit. You literally did, 6 months of training or whatever, and probably didn't even have one. You didn't have one race, I don't think. Did you have one?
I did. So Noosa was probably the last one.
Yes. Yeah. So you basically had Noosa, had another week, or you had a couple of weeks off. I think you come to share.
Yeah, I had a week off. Yeah.
And then you sort of probably you had a fair bit of volume before that, but I felt pretty bad because I was the one that suggested that you shouldn't do was it Mooloolaba?
Yeah. Which, I mean, like at the time, I was a little bit. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I thought you were being a jerk and you should just shut up and let me do it.
Yeah.
But a couple of days afterwards, and then the news come out and said, some people there had been sick, and I thought, it's a really good decision. And then 10 days later or so, when Ultraman's cancelled, it's like, what would have mattered? I should have gone and done it. So
as soon as I suggested it to you and you agreed, which I was a little bit surprised about. That's But I did say, I hope the race doesn't get called off now, because that would have been your only potential race. So I mean, how did you cope with just having this massive training load and then not even a race to go? I'm amazing. But you did get to do all that training for one Strava segment. So
yes, well, that's what it's come down to now. Yeah, is basically. I sat in my bed watching YouTube videos on loop, and then stumbled across that Phil Guyman's channel, where he runs around. He's a former pro cyclist, runs around taking Strava King of Mountains, and I thought, you know what, I'm as good as him, so that's what we've been doing. Taking none, taking not a zero, not a single one. There might be one around the corner here that no one does that I've got. That'd be it.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a personal challenge. I'm sure. I reckon these other two people on this feed have probably found something very similar to themselves to that to take their mind off things. I just started riding because I was still running. I still swam for a bit. Obviously, without a pool, it feels a bit unstructured. And I take Sarah out on the paddle, stand-up paddle, and she follows me around for a bit. But it's I mean, she enjoys it, but I still feel like I'm dragging her out. And as things got more difficult, I got less motivated to do that. So I'm very keen to not give up the running, because it's just hard to get back. So I keep running, and it's easy to get the door. But the bike, just the more I've been riding, the more I've been enjoying it. So I picked a hill up here that, well, I think you and I had the same time on, and that pissed me off because you hadn't been training. So I thought I should have a go at it, and been chipping away at that.
Yeah. So Marcus, you're probably the luckiest, if you call anyone lucky, that didn't get to do their race. But I mean, you at least got to do Geelong, which all happened maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the virus. So, and I mean, and you had a pretty reasonable day there. You ran past some pretty fast bloke, I hear, with a few Ks to go that wants to pass you on the bike. So how did you feel with the training volume that you'd done, the kind of training that you had done, and then then going into a race that you really hadn't really trained for anything specific?
Yeah, I was pretty happy. I took advantage of doing Geelong. In saying that, if you had said for me not to do it, I probably would think twice and maybe not do it. But I was pretty lucky, good opportunity. It was a race that I did because just to get a bit of evaluation of where the training was, how my body was feeling. And that race, it went pretty well in comparison to other races I'd done down there. I think followed the game plan, ticked all the boxes. Got a pretty good time overall. I was pretty happy with that. And from there, it was just a continuation of the training. Just tick off the boxes, get the Ks under the belt, and keep injury free. Try and manage the body as best we could. And I think I was, like I was saying, I was pretty much on track. I think all things were going well until obviously the corona kicked in, and we've just had to change things a little, I guess. The way we train, the community groups that we train with or talk or socialise with, we've just had to change things a little. So all in all, you just do what you can do and wait till the changes come and go back to the way we were doing things. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the only point that I'd probably, you know, emphasize is that, you know, and I remember telling you that you had to slow down in your running because, you know, you can run well. I don't know, what you run at Busso? Was it a sub 320 or, you know, was...
Yeah, 315 or something like that. I think 316.
So, I mean, you know, which is, you know, around the 430 pace or whatever it is. And you know, and I know that when you want to go out and run and you want to train, you always want to go and run at 430 pace. It just seems to be your comfort zone. And I'm telling you to slow down and you're going, no, but it feels shit, you know, and I sort of said to you, well, unless you're going to think you're going to run 6 hours at Ultraman, like you better start making that feel you're comfortable, sort of thing. So, you know, and to your credit, you did, you slowed it right back down. And, you know, probably, I think in that lead up to Geelong, you're probably more running 5:15, 5:20 pace. You weren't like with no fast stuff. Well, you should have been running anything faster than 5 minutes, unless you cracked the tits because your heart rate monitor wasn't reading properly or something. So you cracked it and just went, I'm not listening to this. But I would say in general, you did probably a good 5 or 6 weeks like that. You know, and then coming into Geelong, I think if it's not your best run that you've done, it's as close to your best run. And I do remember the words coming out of your mouth going, why do I even worry about training fast for? You know, sort of thing. So, you know, were you surprised at that? You know, did you have confidence? What were were you a bit worried? What were your
Yeah, I was definitely surprised. Like I said, it was a valuation of the training you'd put me through because although you have a lot of experience under your belt, for you to tell me to run and train slow to get a fast run on a race day, it's kind of back to front. But the more we do this, the more you educate yourself, the more your body reacts and responds to it, I guess. And yeah, it is a learning curve. And yeah, I'm continuously doing that. Like Chris said, running is a good thing. You've got to keep doing it, got to keep chipping away at it. It's not easy. I enjoy running, but I really, really hate running slow. So it's just a work in progress. We just got to keep chipping away at it, as all three of us and yourself obviously know. Yeah, it's a project. If we want to see the results, we've got to keep working at that heart rate and getting in the right zone. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so, Shaz, you you got to do Busso, but, you know, the lead into Busso was not, you know, it was structured around that you're doing Ultraman, so you didn't do I definitely didn't send you in there doing a full Ironman training program. It was a well underdone Ironman training program. You know, you probably didn't do as much riding as probably maybe you could have. You know, and we were hoping that you were gonna fix some issues where we're talking about cramps and stuff, but that you know, that necessarily didn't come to fruition. You know, and then we had you locked in for Geelong, but you know, you ended up getting a little niggle, like, you know, I don't know whether it was your calf or something. But we went, so it's not worth the risk. Risk reward wasn't worth it. At the end of the day, you weren't injured because you still ran the distance. I think you still ran 24 Ks that day or the next day anyway. But, you know, so how did you cope with, you know, sort of having that whole trainer block, but then no races?
Yeah. Well, I guess I was a bit disappointed, you know, with my result at Busso, only because of the run. I'd really gone in there with the focus on having my best run ever, and I ended up having my worst run ever. So, you know, I was really looking forward to the race, like, you know, because of the training that I'd started to put in towards that running. And I think I'd started to build a little bit more strength and conditioning into my program, whereas I hadn't done much of that in the past. So I started looking at all those little 1%ers, as Marcus would say, you know, just to try and help improve that run. So I was really, really looking forward to it, as daunting as running 84 kilometres to sound. Yeah, I was really looking forward to how I was going to cope on the day. I was feeling like I was missing out on other races. Like, I was quite jealous of, you know, other friends who were going out and doing races, whether it was a mountain bike race or, you know, racing at Geelong, you know, my heart would drop a little bit every time that they were doing a race, but I just had to remind myself there was, you know, a bigger picture, and, you know, that's why I'm not doing this, because I'm actually not ready at the moment, or I can't go and do a mountain bike race because I might fall off and, you know, I won't be racing at Ultraman at all. So, you know, I guess I would have a little bit of a pity party every now and then, but would quickly move on because I knew that there was a bigger goal, really.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess that's probably the biggest difference with the you know, potential of an Ultraman event or something. Like everything, it's not even really a triathlon. So it's, you know, so doing a half Ironman in the lead up to it, you know, generally isn't. You know, it's not going to really make you any more beneficial, because you're not going to have to run off the bike. Like the swim to the bike, the first swim to the bike might be a little bit like day one, but, you know, so everything, when you do it, you just sort of commit totally to that whole event. And, you know, and it isn't like something else. A half Ironman, you potentially can go and do something else and get up for it. So, yeah, that's what I found. It is a pretty big commitment and a pretty big challenge, and, you know, and it's a pretty big focus on one prize. You know, where normally, you know, say if you're Marcus, you might have 8 prizes a year and one every 6 weeks or something like that. It does change your focus and your goals and everything when you sort of are doing that.
So that's probably one thing that's I wouldn't say it's helped, but it definitely hasn't hurt, is that I thought, after seeing how your body reacted after a successful Ultraman, and you pulled up from the race pretty good, but you had a pretty robustly average, you know, 6 or 8 months after that, with, you know, little injuries and things not being right in your body. And I know there's been a few other guys like that that I know of afterwards really suffered. So from my point of view, you know, I thought of Ultraman as basically this year.
Yeah.
Anything else I did was a bonus, and, you know, maybe I could sneak something in towards the end of the year, but it would be, you know, if it worked out, and it might be shit sort of thing.
Yeah. Like I like, you know, from my experience, I would say that it's, you know, and potentially I think it at least took 3 months for me to get over it, and if not 9 to 12 months, you know, sort of thing. It was but even 3 weeks after it, I was like, oh, I reckon I could do Cairns. Like, you know, Cairns half Ironman, like, but you're still running on that endorphins and the drugs, and, you know, you just feel so good. So you feel invincible. You're going, oh, I can do this. And imagine if I do this now and smash this, how good am I going to look, or whatever. But the reality is that it was, you know, once that wore off, you know, and then it was like, now I don't want to get out of bed. No, I don't want to. Now it's winter. I don't actually want to swim. It's, you know, yeah, but I did have a few niggles. So I probably shouldn't have, you know, probably shouldn't have been doing it anyway. And I probably needed to have the rest, you know, sort of thing. So, but, you know, going forward, we're in a world now that's, you know, no one knows what's going on. You know, everyone's calling events, and they're saying these events are going to be on. And, like, you know, for instance, Cairns has said that their event's going to be on the 20th of September, and, you know, and you had to either select to take that race or to, you know, postpone it to next year. And my first initial thought wasn't whether the virus is going to be on or if there's a virus. I was, let's Google up and see when crop season is. Which is September it starts. Yeah. So, you know,
I think they have a few nasty things floating in the water at that time of year.
Yeah. So, you know, so we're definitely living in a world of unknown at the moment. So how do you think that's, you know, mentally, emotionally, physically, you know, affects, you know, how do you get out of bed and keep yourself motivated and want to do things now? Like, what's your thought process behind that?
Well, yeah. Well, I still got to get paid to eat, so that drives me to work every day. No, I mean, it's like it's like any sort of family or anything like that. You don't really want to be letting anyone else down. Everyone's got issues. I know where I work, we're a small sort of group, and we're all there because we like, for the most part, being there. We like each other, so it's about sort of having that contact with the community. A little group of people. I don't have any other family up here, so that's it for them. And it's nice to see other people. But yeah, everything's sort of got to keep going on. And as far as racing goes, look, I don't know. I'm doing what I enjoy, and triathlon or endurance, probably more endurance sports for me has, over the last 10 years, it's been constant in my life because I feel like I can get an enjoyment from it. I can have a good day when I have a good ride, regardless of what else has happened in the day, within reason, obviously. But for the most part, I don't require any other really sort of input to come home after a good long ride in the hills, and I feel pretty good. I feel like I've achieved something. Things are going well. So from my point of view, it's just the opportunity. I still have those little challenges there, and I still get a kick out of just being a little bit better each day. So that's basically it for me.
So, I know you Marcus, are one that can't have something in the pipeline. It's like even, you were doing Ultraman and you still couldn't help yourself but to enter Cairns before you were done Ultraman, where I said, just wait, it's not going to sell out. You don't, but you're the kind of person that has to have 3 races ahead of you.
Yeah, yeah.
So for you, how do you mentally and emotionally keep going now when, the reality is, and up until maybe last week when they said about Cairns or whatever, there was nothing. There was nothing in your, you kind of just, you're training for the foreseeable future that you don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, so I have my crazy calendar, as you may be aware of, that I usually have my 10 events logged in for the financial year.
You had 8 in there.
You've got blanketed out to nil or nothing pretty quickly. But for me, I guess the training, it's just ticking the boxes, ticking away at things. It's like Chris, you get away and you can be out on the bike during the day, and it's just time to reflect, relax, stress manage, think about all those bad things in life that are going on and go, hey, I'm out here riding a bike. What are the rich people doing? So for me, it's good times out there. As for the future of what's going ahead and having a goal in place, it makes it a bit hard, yeah. But I see it as an opportunity that, what are other people doing? Are they sitting at home eating cookies on the couch, or are they putting a bike tube around their waist and swimming in their mum and dad's pool? Because I know what I'm doing. So, I mean, I see it as an opportunity to take a leap ahead, and, continue on what you've done. You've done a lot of good work. Why just let it all go to waste? So, yeah, we don't know what's ahead, but you can just have yourself ready to pull the trigger when something does pop up. Yeah. That's my plan.
And with every bad situation, generally there's a good side or an upside of it, and and you're probably the classic case, and so most people, it's most people need to necessarily go backwards a bit to go forwards, and when you've always got races in the pipeline, it's really hard to not focus on that race and to go back to basics and to work on your things that are your weaknesses, which your weaknesses generally aren't you pushing yourself too hard. They're generally the things that you overemphasize on. So, when all this sort of happened and went down, like me personally, I'm like going, I don't know what you're worried about that there's not a race. I ride my bike because I love riding my bike. I run because I love running. And if you're not going to run and you're not going to ride just because there's not a race on, you're not going to last very long racing.
Exactly.
Because you're not actually doing it because you enjoy it. You're doing it because you think that that's what's motivating you or whatever. And motivation, is only weak. It's not, it's discipline and consistency and things that are, then you getting up because you want to do it, because it's not, most of the time, it's not necessarily going to be fun, and it's not going to be things. And, so I just, with all of our group, we sort of, we took this approach as this is the perfect time to, especially for, everyone, it's like, all right, let's even slow down and even get better again at running easy, because if we can build our, we can build our aerobic engines and this sort of stuff that you're thinking that, how am I going to run faster if you're telling me to run slower?
Yeah.
But, if I can tell you that, if you just improve 1 second a week for the next 15 weeks, then you're going to be 15 seconds faster than you used to be. And that kind of, but to give you 15 weeks of concentrating on that, it's, it's not that easy when someone wants to race 8 times a year and they always want to be up for that race. They always want every race to be their A race, where the reality is that probably only one race can be your A race for the year. So, I think, for most people although it sucks and everyone probably missed their last race, most people got 2/3 of a summer of racing out of this experience with the virus and stuff. So, it wasn't the be all and end all. It wasn't the, for you, for instance, you got Geelong. Tris didn't get a race, but he still got to do Noosa. Most people got to do something. It wasn't like, you started off in the winter and you got the whole way up to summer and then the whole summer was called off. Like that would have been worse, in my opinion, for the whole thing. So,
exactly. Yeah.
I think yous all, I think everyone sort of coped with it pretty well. Yous all probably had your little hissy fit at the start. Then yous all probably rolled on to the next, the next line of, of thing. But, I think within a week, everyone knew that this was the right decision. And I have to say, well done to Ultraman for calling it early. Why put, not just putting through people through the, I have to train, but I know that it's going to get called off in 2 weeks. Like, I think they were good. They called it off before anyone else did. And so hopefully come 2021, it's a long time between now and then. Hopefully, everyone's potentially had the opportunity to do it, to go through this all again, and the desire and the motivation and the body and everything is all good. So, so thank you for everyone coming along. I think we got some pretty good info. I think we've flown over an hour. So I think we've got a fair bit of information into our first episode. So thanks for joining us. It was good to hear from you all. I hope everyone stays safe. I hope Shaz comes home from Noosa, and I hope Chris services my bike. Oh, she's got the cocktail. She's, the reality is that we all should be sitting here now at the end of the day, and everyone should be having a bit of a celebrating drinks and everything like that, and we're not. But we can only deal with what the world throws at us. So
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we just all need to just keep chipping away and keep our heads up and and keep living the dream, keep thriving. So
be healthy first.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. We're all like, most of us, we all get driven and we all get things, but we all do it because we want to be fit and healthy. So,
I think the long-term thing is important to think about, especially in this instance. It's, like it's 6, it takes months. It's in 12 months from now, you won't really, I think we'll all remember this period in time, but it's like any other injury or something like that. You get to the other side of it and it fades pretty quick. So, there's a bigger, longer term to think about.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Over and out.
Thanks.
See you later.
Bye.
See you out on course. Thank you for listening to episode 1 of Thrive Endurance's Everyday Athlete. Don't forget to go past our website and check out our services that we have to offer and all of our training plans, as well as go past Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and any podcast and like our page. We're great to hear any feedback or any comments, leave below. Thank you for listening. Until next time, goodbye.
On this computer.
Comes up record on my screen when you did that.
Recording.
So is that working?
Yep. Working.
So you want to go up into that box, Sharon, and just for the very, very start, and then when I introduce you, then click to the 4 people screen, maybe.
Okay, I'll just stop recording.
Yep. No.
Okay, we're recording.
Yeah,
Speaking.
and it's on the me up front.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Oh.
Hang on. Go.
Hi, welcome to episode 1 of Everyday Athletes. This is a pretty special weekend. It's our first podcast, and we're sitting here just after Ultraman should have concluded this weekend, which is pretty special to me. Sharon. Oh, it's okay. Sorry. You can't look away because we're recording you. All right, we're starting again.
Okay, just wait. Yes, Bridget?
Because when you look like that, your nose goes like that. You look really shit.
Just wait. Just wait. Your drink, madam? Oh, thank you. Cheers.
It's like a one-handed service.
So what? You should really be recording this because this is gold.
This is for the end bit. She is. All right, so we're still recording.
Yeah.
Is that wine, Chris?
Yeah.
Chris is on the lines.
That's right.
You're unreal.
So then now you've just got me up, Taz, and then it's going to go to.
Then I'll change it.
Yeah, and then you're going to flick it to the 4 people, right?